Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. It's a bit of a tradition in the international break, the first one, to look at who might be the first Premier League manager sacked. Well, I need a bit of help. It can't be Erik Ten Hag. We've invested so much money in him this summer. Some of us fans invested so much of our time in telling Ineos to keep him. Surely you're just bantering us. Surely, if we've got any non-United fans in here, you're not saying he's going to be the first manager sacked. Surely there has to be some truth in the fact that he needs time with these new players. Ineos need to build this project, and actually, yes, we have lost two of our first three, but with Southampton to come, Crystal Palace to come, surely you're expecting a turnaround from Manchester United, and by Christmas, it will all be better. Tell me that's the case, because I tell you what, Ten Hag sacked by Christmas is certainly going to be coming true if it's on your Christmas wish list, if you listen to the bookies, because what they're saying this morning is that Erik Ten Hag is 3-1 favourite with Sean Dyche to be sacked. Full stop. The next Premier League manager to be sacked, it is Erik Ten Hag, and it is Sean Dyche, 3-1. Maresco's drifting out. I don't really understand why Maresca is even in there anyway, 8-1. And then Russell Martin and Steve Cooper, 14-1. So it's massively between Erik Ten Hag and Sean Dyche at the moment. Now, last season, we didn't see many Premier League sackings, and we certainly didn't see any early Premier League sackings. I can't remember what the first one was. I think it was Steve Cooper at Forest around Christmas time. So managers are tended to be giving longer now. Maybe that's got a lot to do with PSR and FFP and the cost it is to sack and replace a manager. But it is worrying that Erik Ten Hag has gone straight in there with Sean Dyche. I mean, Sean Dyche has lost his first three games, and Everton, things aren't looking good. But can they afford to sack Sean Dyche either? But let's get into this realistically. Is Erik Ten Hag being sacked going to solve Manchester United's problem? Or is it just the typical mainstream and fan reaction to the fact that you've been beaten and you've lost two of your first three games? I still think, for me, this goes back to the summer. This goes back to early June when Ineos decided to keep Erik Ten Hag. There was a movement within the United fan base, certainly, and there was a wider movement exterior, certainly in the media, that Ten Hag should be sacked, even though he'd won the FA Cup, he'd finished 8th in the league, and I think a lot of the media had given up on him, and they have a big voice. Ineos stuck with him. Ineos have spent money. The first two games weren't great, but there was that win against Fulham, and it was a late winner against Brighton, and then Liverpool pulled Man United's pants down at Old Trafford and humiliated them, let's be honest. And therefore, quite rightly, whether it's Manchester United, Liverpool or Arsenal, you're going to be under pressure when you lose two of your first three games. Your manager was on the edge at the end of last season, and one of those games is at your own ground against your biggest rival. So the pressure is absolutely correct. But realistically, get in the comments. Do you think Ten Hag turns this around, or do you think he is on a fast track to sacking before Christmas? I'll look at our next few games. We've got Southampton away, Crystal Palace away, Spurs at home, Villa away. 3 of our next 4 Premier League games are away, and he's going to have to win, I would say, at least 2 of those and not lose more than 1 of them. So 2 wins and a draw would probably keep him okay for the next international break, and anything more than that, and I think he's going to be in trouble. And look, if he gets sacked, he gets sacked himself. I was pro Ten Hag staying. I felt that I wanted a year 3. He just won the FA Cup deservedly against Man City, the best team in the league, and we deservedly beat them. And you felt that two trophies in 2 years. And as bad as last season was, there was a lot going on off the pitch with Rashford and Sancho and Anthony. There was the sale as well, and a massive injury record, and he still won the FA Cup. So I thought that there was enough to give him another year, and there was a structure above him. And I don't think after 3 games is the time to say that that structure has failed or that Ten Hag has failed. But obviously results will guide this, and we've seen this movie before. Solskjaer started his 3rd season. No one was predicting that he was going to get the sack. He was gone by Christmas. The same thing happened with Jose Mourinho. So, look, it could easily happen, and I'm not blind to it, but I do feel like surely not. And I do feel like please no, because it's all right. We've all done it. Sack them, get rid of them. But in the modern game, you also have to take into account that the sheer volume of money that's been spent around Ten Hag this summer is £200 million. To replace him will cost, to sack him, and then bring a new manager in. And then that new manager probably doesn't want the players that Ten Hag's bought. I mean, we never stop hearing about, oh, it's another Dutch player or it's another player that's played for Ten Hag. You give Thomas Tuchel the job or whoever else, they've not used these players before. Why should they do that? And in fairness to the next manager, why should they have to use a previous manager's toys? Like, they would want that as well. Man United are not financially great. We have debt. We are not in a great position. So to sack the manager, I think would please some United fans, but the longer term damage that would cause to have to rebuild again could be catastrophic. It's so important that this decision to keep Ten Hag actually works. But I suppose that's the question. Do we think it will work? Because he has to deliver this season, and if he doesn't, then he will deserve the sack, and that would be, I think, a really bad thing for United and a really bad thing for Ineos as well. Let's not forget, they spent a lot of time making this decision, backing this manager. They can't make a quick decision. Whether you want it to happen quickly, they can't make a quick decision because that makes them look incredibly weak. I mean, we've seen that with Todd Boehly, haven't we? We've seen how he has changed managers so many times, and the perception of Todd Boehly is that yes, his heart's in the right place and he wants Chelsea to do well, but he's a bit trigger happy when it comes to making changes with Poch, with Potter, Tuchel at the very start. And Maresca still maintains, probably because of that, he's always in the top 2 or 3 favourites for the sack, even though I think Chelsea have had a good start. So Ineos have to show some stability as well. But I'm really interested in the comments on this today because there will be a lot of United fans who are wrapped up in emotion, whether they want him to stay, whether they want him to go. But as an exterior, I think we'll see a lot of comments from people saying, please keep him because United will be shit while they've got him. And I've certainly looked at Liverpool in the past and Arsenal in the past and gone, yeah, I agree. I would want that to happen. I would want Roy Hodgson to stay in charge of Liverpool. I would want Brendan Rodgers to stay in charge of Liverpool. And certainly at Arsenal, I wanted Wenger to stay because I knew he'd lost his magic. So I think there'll be a lot of people saying, yeah, keep him. But I think that's the problem with Ten Hag. And I'll be interested by the comments, is that I see and read a lot of United fans saying he's not the right guy. And I see a lot of rival fans saying he is the right guy. And I know what that is. That's them saying they want us to keep him because we won't succeed. And that can sometimes be the best analysis you can get, is from a rival fan who wants you to keep a manager because they think that you won't be successful with them. And that can be very damning as well. But will he be the first manager sacked? I don't think we'll see a sacking before the next international break. I'm pretty confident of that. I don't think we'll see a sacking before the next international break after that, which is November. I don't think we'll see a sacking till late November. I think they've got the right 2 names at the moment. The bookies don't always get it right, but Dyche and Ten Hag, not just because the bad start to the season, I think that the Southamptons and the Ipswiches and the Leicesters are not going to sack their manager because they have a bad start. The gap between the Championship and the Premier League is huge, so you know that. The Fulhams and the Crystal Palaces, they're not going to sack their managers because they know they're doing good jobs, and the Brentfords as well. And then, you're not going to see Ange or Emery or the Brighton manager get sacked either. So I think the vulnerability are Ten Hag and Dyche at the moment. I hate to say it, but I hope it's Dyche. I don't want it to be Ten Hag. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. I'm sure the comments are going to be very interesting on this one, and I'll certainly be reading them. Take care, and I'll speak to you on the next one.